screen a full. Nope. Shit. See, I hit the wrong button again. What am I doing?
Are we live yet, though?
Oh, it would help if I was. Yes, we are live, but it would help if I was on the right channel because down the middle is its own channel now. Oh, I'll be okay. Oh, son of a bitch. There. Why can I not see this? This is strange. Sorry, folks, if you are joining us now.
Well, while he is doing what he needs to do, I'm going to talk a little bonus.
There you go.
A bonus for today. Let's talk about the WWE 2K23 that just randomly dropped on us all of a sudden.
It did what now?
WWE 2K23, they just randomly dropped on us one day. There was a little leak, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, Royal Rumble, we're going to be dropping some stuff. But everything started getting leaked before the Royal Rumble.
Oh, shit. Hey, buddy, could you do me one favor? Is it possible for you to tilt your camera down just a smidge?
Like, towards me?
Like, down a bit. If it's possible. Okay. Yeah, but the other way.
Okay.
Okay, yep, audio's good.
Is that better?
Yes, much. That's for when I'm clipping shorts. It just gives me a little bit more room. But
yeah, okay.
We'll get started.
But yeah, they want to drop it on us.
Yeah, that's wild. And speaking of bonus, this podcast is brought to you by Stevie Wicks Cool Beans Candle Company. We'll touch a little bit more on them later. But so we're going to be talking about the Royal Rumble, which was very good, but I must confess my sin. I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched both Royal Rumble matches in the main event, though.
In my opinion, the only thing that really mattered.
That's kind of how I felt. I mean, I'll be real. I was doing other shit. I had made plans, and it was funny because I was planning to watch the Rumble, and then I realized that I'd made plans on that Saturday. But by the time I got that wrapped up, I got home, and I'm like, oh, the Royal Rumble's still on. So I caught the women's match because it had just started, and then I got the main event, and then I went back and watched the men's Royal Rumble match because the whole time I'm like, tell me who won the men's so I know if I need to go back and watch it or not.
Well, it was quite obviously who was going to win it.
Oh, yeah, we were 100% right.
Like, 100% obvious.
Well, I should rephrase. In my mind, it was like, did Cody win it? Because if Cody won it, I was going to go back and watch it. If anybody else won it, I wasn't going to care. But I'm glad I watched it because it was pretty good.
It was good. And, like, there were some surprise, like Booker T. I wasn't expecting. Edge was another surprise technically, but we knew it was happening.
Right.
I mean, was there any like?
Well, let's just start at the pay-per-view, which is the men's Royal Rumble match. Although we were kind of wrong in one prediction, although you might still be right. It depends on what happens at Elimination Chamber. But you had said you predicted that Roman was going to lose one of the titles. However, according to WWE anyway, Cody's going for the undisputed title at WrestleMania.
Yes, which is the undisputed. I don't know how that's going to work out because we're supposed to get Seth, or not Seth, but Sammy and Roman, which was just said last night on SmackDown.
At Elimination Chamber?
Elimination Chamber, it's going to be Seth and Roman.
You mean Sammy and Roman?
Sammy and Roman, sorry.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, dude, so I think we'll see Roman retain at Elimination Chamber.
I don't know. We may get that.
I think you're right, though, because you predicted that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn would go after the Usos tag belts. And I think you're right. I think you're right there. Because they're kind of framing it to where the Sammy thing is more about him and the Usos rather than him and Roman per se.
Yeah. Well, what I don't quite understand, and there's a little more to it, which can still happen before WrestleMania. We could still technically get The Rock.
Yeah, oh yeah, we could.
In Roman.
Well, no, because Cody's got that match.
Per se.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Cody has the title match. It doesn't have to be against Roman. But I don't know. I think that'd be a letdown.
It still could. Now, hear me out. It's Elimination Chamber. It's right towards the end of the match. What is it? Jay finally gets some sense into Jimmy and Solo's head. Like, hey, we don't need this no more. We can do stuff on our own. Solo turns on Roman to help Sammy win. Solo goes on to say, I did it for The Rock, just like his dad did. We get Rock and Roman at Mania. And one night, and then the other night, the first night it can be Cody versus Roman. The second night it can be The Rock versus Roman.
I keep forgetting that it's 2 nights.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I still don't like that. I didn't like it when Wrestle Kingdom did it either. I think 2 nights is too long.
I like it to an extent because if they did it all on one night, like I've been to a WrestleMania and like getting there at like 3 o'clock and being there till midnight, it was a bit long. Now, if you do it 4 or 5 hours instead of like 9 hours, 8-9 hours, it's a little bit better on everybody. Everybody can get a little bit better, well rested.
I guess it's kind of like how New Japan does New Year's Dash right after. Yeah. Although the one year they did, so technically that might be why I really didn't like it, is because technically New Japan, when they did Wrestle Kingdom, I forget which one it was, but I want to say it was 12, but I could be wrong. They did 2 nights and then New Year's Dash right after that. And that was a bit of a haul. And it may have felt so long because New Japan, while I love New Japan, but they have a penchant for, it's just, there's a lot of tag matches. And you're just thinking, like, this really doesn't have to be 2 nights. At least with WrestleMania, there really wasn't any filler matches, so to speak.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's where I think I could see The Rock and The Rock, Roman, Solo, Bloodline type thing.
It would be interesting. I just want Cody to get his WWE Championship.
I guarantee Cody's going to win it.
Well, but let's be real here. After how they built Roman Reigns up, who else? I guess they could do Brock again, but we've seen that. Lashley would make sense, but Roman's already beaten him, so... And about Brock and Bobby, they're not really... I'd say they're on par with Roman Reigns, meaning they're not necessarily going to be punching up.
Now, a lot of people are saying it's going to be Brock and Bobby at Mania, which I really hope it doesn't. I hope they do something at Elimination Chamber and end it there, but then again... there wouldn't be enough time to make a storyline with the rumored was going to be Gunther and Brock for Mania. I just don't think there's going to be enough time for that.
Well, I think Gunther, Walter, and Walter and Brock, I think you could have a WrestleMania match with them, and it's different enough to be pure spectacle at that point. I don't think you really need a storyline for that, but I think you definitely would need a storyline for Bobby Lashley and Brock because, again, we've seen that.
Well, they kind of teased it a little bit at the Rumble when it was just Gunther and Brock.
Oh yeah, see, and that's shout out to Walter.
I don't care what anybody says. He's transitioned so much, and he's a bad dude.
He was already a bad dude, but here's the other thing. I don't know if people talk about this or not, but he looks good.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like he lost a decent. I don't even gonna say he lost weight, but he lost a tremendous amount of body fat. He looks really good.
I used to watch him in NXT UK.
Yeah.
And like, he wasn't a small boy. Like he wasn't big. He wasn't small.
No, but he's got this like natural look where I wouldn't say he's like, don't get me wrong, he's strong, but I wouldn't say he's like jacked. But at the same time, he's not like skinny or flabby. He looks like a fucking man.
Yeah, he just looks like an average. He does. He looks like an average man
who like picks up. He looks like an average man that picks up heavy shit often.
It's like it's not, and I don't want to say it like this. You know when you see people and they have that stupid strength.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Gunther's one of them.
Yeah, 100%. But Walter, well, and I think you're right too. I think they're building for him in Brock Mania, and I think that was why he had such a great outing at the Rumble while not winning it. And that's what. So the Royal Rumble is a great match, but WWE does it to perfection because the Royal Rumble, like obviously you get your main event for WrestleMania, and you have plenty of time to build it, but it also gives people a chance to showcase. And you can build storylines around that because you got the whole Kofi tradition now, although apparently he wiped out.
Well, see what the thing is, and I wanted to talk about this specifically. I went back and watched that very specific spot 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
1 feet only hit the ground. When he laid down on fell, but 1 foot was over top of the chair where he didn't touch the ground.
You noticed that too. So that tells me one of 3 possibilities. One, they're going to use that as a storyline where Kofi can say, I actually didn't lose the Royal Rumble. Or it was an intentional botch spot so that he no longer has to do that every WrestleMania. Or it was just a legit accident and nobody noticed.
Yeah. Like I did. I watched it like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, man, I never once seen that foot drop unless it was within the transition of the camera views. I didn't see it.
Which, yeah, I noticed that too because I kind of I didn't really think about it at the time, but then I saw it again on social media and I was just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Only 1 foot hit the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Another thing. So we've seen Edge go after Finn.
Yep.
In a Rumble, which is a good thing. We've seen that happen. And then Beth came out and speared Rhea. I was okay with that.
Oh, we'll get to Rhea.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to it in a second.
We'll get to Rhea in a moment.
Talk about Rhea.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Rhea.
Long. What else was I thinking? I don't think we're going to get Austin Theory and John Cena.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a real shame, but I'm assuming it's because they might not be able to get Cena.
Well, no. Hold on. Let me think. Yes, I don't think we'll get Austin and Cena. I think they're going to push it for Seth and Austin at Mania. I think that's the way they're going to go, which I'm okay with that one too.
Yeah, but I guess that's okay. But I'd rather have Cena and Theory.
Hold on, and maybe I'm getting this mixed up. I'm having a brain fart, to be honest.
Hey, it happens, man. Just clench your cheeks. I mean,
hey, I can't clench my cheeks right now.
Ow.
Wow, I'm having a brain fart. Go on to another topic. I remember.
Well, do we want to talk about any other? Because I mean, ultimately, I just it was a pretty decent Royal Rumble, but
in my opinion, and people aren't gonna like it because it's been both ways. People's always shit on the part of there's too many part-timers that just randomly show up.
It's the Royal Rumble.
And then people are like, other people aren't getting enough attention that don't get put in a Rumble, which there's a lot of people that was not in that Rumble that I am very surprised it wasn't in it. Bronson Reed, he just came back and he wasn't in it.
Who?
Bronson Reed.
Who?
Shut up. You know.
Actually, no, I don't. Oh, I do. That was the match I skipped on Raw because I was like, who gives a shit?
Dexter Lumis, he wasn't in it.
That did surprise me. I figured he was going to be in it. Johnny
Gargano was in it. He was in it.
I was going to say, yeah, he was in it, which I would have rather had Dexter.
Yeah. Another surprise that was in a Rumble was Logan Paul.
Oh, yes, so if you guys are on TikTok, I don't know if you can search for this shit or try to find it, but you know the one on TikTok where it's like, what's your name? Tony! Somebody took that audio with that spot, and it's eerie how, like, it's not perfect, but it's pretty close, how it matches up. Because it's just Logan Paul and Ricochet, what's your name? Ezekiel. Fuck you, Ezekiel. It was great. It was great.
Okay. I think we're going to get Seth versus Logan Paul.
Honestly, I'm okay with just Logan Paul being at WrestleMania.
Yeah. He's phenomenal.
Like, it's fucked up because I don't want to like the guy.
Nobody does, but he's so good at what he does.
But it's undeniable. He's like Shawn Michaels in that respect. Now, hold on a second. Let me finish my point. He's like Shawn Michaels in the respect that, like, when Michaels was a heel, you weren't supposed to like him, but you just couldn't help it because he was so fucking good.
Exactly.
Like, I wanted to hate him. And then he had that match with Ray. Yeah. Yeah, he tagged with Miz. Yeah. And I was just like, this guy's awesome. So, yeah, if Logan Paul's there, then...
Yeah. Now, back to Gunther real quick. I've heard rumors, and this came from Dave Meltzer, so it could be true, it couldn't be true.
It's not true.
Rumor has it they're going to be Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew for the IC title. That's kind of the rumor I've heard, which I'm kind of get tired of Gunther and Sheamus, but they still have such good matches. It's like...
And like a little bit on Sheamus, and I feel bad for saying this because, first of all, I have a lot of respect for Sheamus just as both as a wrestler and as a human being, and it's not his fault because, like you said, he has good matches. I just don't know what it is. I think that this is going back a few years, but I think Sheamus was just on TV in mediocre spots all the time that now I'm just kind of like, without thinking about it, I'm just kind of like, eh. And it sucks because Sheamus is so good. He's so good. But I think it was just years of seeing Sheamus in spots that now I see him and I go, eh.
Yep.
Not counting I'm drawing a blank on what the tag team name was, but the Bar. When he was tagging with Cesaro. That was great.
Oh, I loved it.
That was awesome.
I remember WrestleMania 34 when they came in on a float.
Yeah, that was. But I think I'd been so sick of seeing Sheamus as a singles guy. Although I was into I can't remember, did they have a best of 7 or a best of 5 series between those two, and then they became a tag team?
I think it was like a best of 5 or something like that.
I think it was a best of 5. And I remember I was like, that's interesting. And they were great matches. Which is no surprise, but... And then they made him a tag team, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is what they were doing the whole time.
Yeah. And then Gunther having a new record for 1 hour and 11 minutes.
Which, yeah. Yep. I mean, I would say Cody may have won the Rumble, but Gunther won the Rumble. Quote, unquote. Yeah. Which is great.
Ray never got eliminated.
Who didn't?
Ray never got eliminated.
Then why didn't he win?
Because he didn't show up. Well, that's because Ray was supposed to be number 17, and then Dominic came out at 18 wearing Ray's mask. So Ray technically never entered the Rumble.
Okay, I was wondering about that. I must have missed something.
Uh-oh.
No. I mean, like, I didn't put it together at the time. I thought that was so weird, and I didn't even think about it like that.
I don't think there's anything else
No.
that I have on my end.
Hey, if anybody watching has thoughts about the Men's Royal Rumble, leave them in the comments. Next up, I'm only going to bring this up because it was technically on the card, and because I want to come to Eli Drake's defense, is we had the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match against Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. No. Just no. No.
I mean, I think it could have been better, yes.
Well, here's all I need to know. One thing, it's a sponsorship match, so I'm already calling phony bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, it's 5 minutes long, apparently. And let's talk about LA Knight for a second. Because I followed Eli Drake when he was in Impact, and I followed him again when he went to NWA. I like Eli Drake a lot. I don't know what they did, but WWE has made me want to turn off the TV when this guy who looks just like Eli Drake, I mean, it looks just like him, but he ain't Eli Drake.
I don't know. I think he's getting more of a, in my opinion. I love Bray Wyatt. I've always liked him.
Oh, I love Bray Wyatt, but this match was dumb.
I agree it was a sponsorship match, but the way they did it was so neat. The way with the black lights, and then he had the paint on him like he did. Like, imagine how long it took for whoever to do it to do that paint on Bray.
I think the fact that it was a Mountain Dew pitch black match just turned me off. I didn't watch it.
You didn't?
No, so, I wasn't gonna go back and watch it because it was a Mountain Dew match. I don't give a shit.
It wasn't bad.
Well, but here's my point. Like, I'm not saying the match was bad. I'm just saying that the fact that it was a Mountain Dew match, it was a sponsor match, turned me off because that tells me right out of the gate it's phony. I could be wrong. Maybe I'll go back and watch it. But I don't like what they're doing to Eli Drake and WWE. Yeah.
I mean, he was doing it in NXT too. So
yeah. I'm talking about NXT as well.
I don't know. I think he's getting more of a success out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that annoying?
No.
Yeah.
What?
See, okay, but what's funny?
No, you yeah me. I'll what you?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
See, that might endear me to the yeah if he did a bit with Stone Cold. See, that would be funny.
I did hear Austin maybe at this Mania. So that would be neat for LA Knight.
Austin. I think they need to change his name. That name is just dumb. It's right up there with like, okay, so this is a good parallel. Well, it's not a perfect parallel, but it illustrates my point. LA Knight has everything he needs, but the name, and I'll get over the yeah thing, but the name is just another example. Switching over to AEW for a second, Action Andretti. I like him. I mean, I think they're putting him in a bigger spot than he should be just because of how long he's been in the company, but he's athletic. I like him. He's easy to cheer for, but the name is just dumb as fuck.
You think LA Knight's bad? What about Max Dupree?
But it sounds like a real name. The gimmick sucked.
I think I like the LA Knight thing more than the Max Dupree.
I'm only talking about names, not characters, because the Max Dupree character was the shits. I didn't love the name because it sounds French and fuck France, but like, and plus Max Dupree just reminds me of Rene Dupree, and we don't want to go down that. Yeah. But like, I don't know what's wrong with Eli Drake. I loved Eli Drake in Impact. I thought it was great.
But what you missed at the end then is, I don't know if you caught it or seen it anywhere. Basically, at the end of the match, Bray pulls out another mask.
God, another one?
And I don't know if you've played any of the Gears of War games. Well, there's one of the guys that has a black mask and it has red on it too, and it kind of looks like that. Well, LA Knight hits him a couple times with the kendo stick, and he kind of shakes it off. Well, LA Knight just kind of runs away into the crowd, and he gets up on this, like, not podium, but like part of a stage thing, and Bray has him in the mandible claw. Well, he gets him to lay down, and he lets go, and he looks up, and then it is Uncle Howdy on top of this big-ass stage thing. And Uncle Howdy jumps off and elbows LA Knight through it. Well, then fire and sparks and everything go flying around, and Bray's standing there. And then that's when we see the rabbit and Husky Harris, or the pig.
The Husky.
And that's the end of that. So I love Bray. I love the character. It's just, it's taken, in my opinion, it's taken longer than it should have, because it's like Bray is trying to put too many characters within a storyline. It's like he's getting overwhelmed with it.
I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. But anyway, so Bray Wyatt was triumphant, as you just recapped. So then we move on to the Raw Women's Championship match, where Bianca Belair defends her title against Alexa Bliss. I also didn't watch this one, so I thought I heard you go, eh.
You didn't miss anything.
I didn't think I did.
It was, in my opinion, it was a filler match. It wasn't a bad match. It was just a match to get Bianca on the card. I mean, we didn't see Charlotte at all one time, which is very surprising.
Yeah, considering that this is a non-affiliated pay-per-view.
But yeah, it was kind of like a filler match. It wasn't bad. Wasn't like overly great. It was what it was for, in my opinion.
This was and I don't even mean this in a derogatory way this time, that it was a bathroom break match before the Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it was, because I will admit the Bray Wyatt match had a lot of, Bray Wyatt's back mystique around it. So yeah, I mean, this was quite literally just a intermission match. And plus the fact too, it's a championship match. It was only 7.5 minutes. But Bianca retained, so the EST is still the CHAMP.
I see where you went there.
Yeah, it is spelling and stuff. I had to explain. Okay, back up a little bit. When Bianca Belair first came to NXT, she was the EST of NXT. I thought that was clever as shit. So whoever came up with that, whether it was Bianca or whoever, awesome. But I remember I had to explain this to somebody. They're like, EST, what's that? I was like, she's the best. She's the greatest. She's the fastest. She's the strongest. And they're like, I don't get it. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Insert adjective here and then add EST to it. Oh. I was like, well, yeah, when you have to have it explained to you, it kind of gets rid of some of the allure. But much like that match, we have an intermission break for you to tell you about our sponsor, Stevie Wicks Cool Beans Candle Company. Brian, do you need to get a Valentine's Day gift for anybody this year?
Oh, I do. My other half.
You absolutely do. And you know what? The best Valentine's Day, hey, if you're gay, this applies to you too. They wouldn't discriminate. But the best Valentine's Day gift you can ever give your Valentine is a Stevie Wicks candle. But Brian, not just candles. Are you okay over there, buddy? You laughing too hard? Don't worry. But they step it up a notch. Brian, would your Valentine, would they or would they not melt if you gave them the little piece of my heart set from Stevie Wicks? It's a very simple concept. You give one to your Valentine, and you keep one to yourself. I suggest giving your Valentine the bigger one, but that's totally up to you. And then your Valentine will be like, oh, babe, that's so sweet, because it's like you gave me a little piece of your heart, and you have a little piece of mine, and it's just the cutest thing ever. And then she touches your naughty bits on Valentine's Day. Everybody wins. But if that's not up your speed, you could always get one of the Valentine's Day candle collections, including but not limited to the 3-wick model with the commemorative heart scent boosting tart on top. You can get all of this at steviewicks.com, STEVIEWIX.com, and if you use promo code, I believe it's DTM, but it will be down in the description. It's either down or DTM. You can get 10% off your order.
Ooh.
So I'll put it in the description, but it is either down or DTM. I believe it's down, actually. And if you want to subscribe to a monthly candle... What's that?
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
I was going to say, another thing you can do, if you want to get candles every month without having to think about it, you can subscribe to a Stevie Wicks candle box and use promo code DOWN20 and get 20% off your first box. It is down 20. So it's down to get 10% off your entire order, or down 20 to get 20% off your first monthly subscription box. StevieWicks.com, and we thank them for supporting the podcast. Now, on to the next match. The Women's Royal Rumble match. Which, I gotta say, I had fairly low expectations coming into this. But I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty good. I only had one real... And I hate that I thought this was dumb. And you're gonna disagree with me. But Zelina Vega's deal and all that.
Uh-huh.
I don't like the sponsorship things. I wasn't feeling that because it's phony. Zelina Vega's whole shtick, where she was cosplaying as I forget the character's name, but from the new Street Fighter game, and she was basically there to promote Street Fighter.
Hold on, the sound is completely gone for you. Very low.
Is it really?
Yeah, for me at least. Say something again.
Now you got me wondering.
Me at least. Yeah, for some reason it's very, very, very low, and I can barely hear you. Now you got me wondering.
Huh, that's weird. It must be on your end because it's fine on the podcast. Was I just far away from the microphone, maybe?
Not sure. Everything's turned up on my end.
That's weird because it sounds normal on my end. Well, can you hear me? It's just a little low. Or can you not hear me? I think now I can't hear you.
I don't know. I got no sound. Like, very, very low sound for you. And everything's turned up on my end.
That's weird. Because, yeah, nothing's tweaked with the settings, but can you hear me?
I can't.
That's fucking weird.
Maybe if I leave you resend me an invite?
Yeah, let's try it. Technical difficulties. That's live TV, pal.
You want to say the magical words?
What magic words?
There we go.
That's live TV, folks.
We're live, pal.
All right, so I was talking about Zelina Vega's role in the Women's Royal Rumble match where she was cosplaying as a character from the new Street Fighter game, which I was fine with the cosplay before anybody attacks me. I was fine with that. But when she started doing the game pose, and she picked the worst place to do it because she was going to get eliminated. She didn't get eliminated, which I was just like, ugh. Like, listen, I know it's wrestling. I know it's, quote, not real. But, like, that doesn't mean you go out of your way to tell people it's bullshit.
I don't know.
I was fine with the cosplay. In fact, I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, okay, that makes sense. But it would be like, you know, let's say in a UFC pay-per-view, one of the fighters is sponsoring a video game. If they were especially if they were only coming out to the ring dresses, I'd be like, that's fine. But if they then struck the pose in the octagon during the fight, I would start calling bullshit, as would everybody else.
Now, here's my opinion on Zelina Vega. For the past few months now, she's been a manager.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to put her in a manager position and then randomly toss her in the Women's Battle Royal.
Well, they did it with, oh, God. I'm having a brain fart, and I know her name, too. It's not like I don't know it. What is her name? Damn it. Oh, Sonya Deville.
What, Sony? Sonya's been wrestling for the past couple months.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying they've done that with her before in the past.
Uh-oh.
I had some schmutz on my lens, I think. I don't know.
I mean, that's the only problem I really had with her. My biggest problem of the Rumble, and I understand, like, I'm okay with Rhea winning it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm okay with 100% okay with that. My only ordeal with it is I understand that Beth attacked Rhea in the men's. But in my opinion, I think Beth should have been in the Rumble for Rhea to eliminate Beth.
I would agree with that.
Because Finn eliminated Edge. Or, helped eliminate Edge. But Beth had nothing to do with the women's.
Yeah, which would kind of beg the question why she was there. I guess she was there for Edge, right? But
yeah, but that still doesn't make sense to me. Edge shows up in the Rumble. Finn helps eliminate Edge, which makes sense because it's going to lead up for them to have a match.
Right.
Beth spears Rhea, and then that's it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I follow that.
There was only one. Oh, there was actually a few surprises. In the women's.
Yes, there were. None of
Michelle McCool.
Yeah, that was. I like the way they did that.
Which I did too. Like, she was just out in the crowd with her kids.
And then she was just like, all right. I like the way they did that. I thought that, like, it was funny, but not in a goofy way. And it was just like, oh, okay, cool.
Which is weird why they didn't have Taker out there with her too.
Yeah, but
Taker's there. You know damn well he's there if Michelle's there.
Oh,
and I like how they did it. Formerly known as Piper is back.
Oh God. I'm gonna get canceled. Do what?
And then the worst has yet to come. And number 30.
Okay.
Said in an interview a few short weeks ago, said that she was never going to wrestle again. Nia, stiff job, Jax.
I just want to say, when Piper Niven came out, I rolled my eyes and groaned. Because, frankly, I thought I was rid of her. But then Nia Jax came out, and I went, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think when, like, everyone in the ring kind of jumped her, I don't know how fake that was.
Oh, I don't know how fake it was either.
I don't know how fake that was. Because I got some real, like, you know, sometimes you can just tell, you're like, ooh, there might be something to this. I don't think, I think I've seen some Nia Jax matches where it was obvious that, well, there was that one that she had with Charlotte, which has become kind of infamous.
Yeah.
Where they essentially got into a fight in the ring.
Exactly. Now, and I have nothing wrong with bigger people or anything, because I'm a bigger person myself.
No, that's not what I'm talking about necessarily. I do. So how do I say this without getting canceled? Like, I can understand when Nia Jax's first run, I can understand why she would have been popular. There was something there. She has that lineage from The Rock. And at the same time, she is just, I mean, she's strong. With Piper Niven, I just don't see anything special other than the fact that she's big. I see nothing. I don't, maybe I'm missing something. I'll be the first to admit it. Like, if I'm missing something, you let me know. But to me, she's just a big girl with shit personality, no particularly dynamic moves that have nothing to do with her size. Like, I know she does the cannonball thing, but that only works because of her size.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see anything about her other than her size. But if you point out her size, you're an asshole.
Yep.
And, like, I can only imagine how nervous the commentators are.
Oh, yeah.
Because what can you say? Because, like, and, like, you want to talk about double standards. Here's double standards. Let's take somebody like Yokozuna, who he had a lot more going. I know the size was part of his gimmick, but he had more going on. But, like, it would be nothing for the commentators to say this huge man, he's a big boy, or, like, this massive monster.
Yeah.
You can't say that shit about a woman.
Nope.
And, like, it would be another thing. Because I thought long and hard about this, because I literally was like, why don't I like Piper Niven? Like, what is it? Like, it's not her size, but it has to do with her size, but I figured it out. It's that's the only thing about her that sticks out.
Yeah.
That's it. She's got nothing else. And to me, it just felt like WWE was like, look, we're inclusive. And it's like, of course you're inclusive. You've had all kinds of people in and out of your company. But they've all had something special if they lasted. And with Piper Niven, whatever the fuck her name is. And to be fair, I also don't know why B-Fab is in the company, just for example. Because I saw nothing. I don't understand.
She's another one. She's another one that was in it. I'm like, eh.
I'll put it this way. Upon further reflection, I totally understand why they fired Hit Row. With the exception of Swerve. But
yeah, he's pretty good.
Like Top Dollar, what the fuck? Why is he there? Like, but anyway, we're talking about the Women's Royal Rumble. But
now,
yeah,
another person, Asuka, and not just any version of Asuka, the Asuka from New Japan.
I didn't notice that. Well, not from New Japan.
I don't know exactly where it came from, but I know it
was Stardom, was it not?
I'm not sure. I never followed Asuka then, so
back when she was Kana.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. And but again, I love Asuka, don't get me wrong, but what they're doing with her lately I find more annoying than anything, because she just needs to dial it back a smidge. Like, it's a little too much. Now, granted, with the face paint, it was more tolerable because it's like, oh, she's unhinged. But I remember this has been some time ago, there was a backstage segment she had with, I believe it was Charlotte, no, it was Becky. And, God, she was just so annoying. Yeah. Asuka. Like, because she keeps saying the same thing 30 times. And, ooh, I'm like, oh, just shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Now, something I had noticed, if you notice from the men's, the last two was number 1 and number 30.
Yep.
You notice from the women's, it was number 1 and number 2 all the way to the end.
And let's see, who was number 2? Number 2 is Liv Morgan, yes. Who I thought Liv had a pretty good outing. And again, like, some people are going to disagree with me. There's something about Liv Morgan that I don't think they've tapped into yet, but she's likable. Yes, and I can't quite put my finger on it. She's pure babyface material just because she's so likable. And I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way, but she's not a giant. She's not a particularly big person or tall person. Like Raquel Gonzalez, because I refuse to call her Rodriguez. It's like, what's wrong with Raquel Gonzalez? First of all, it's her fucking name. Second of all, why? Just why? Anyway, so with Raquel Gonzalez, like, she's a tall, strong girl. And I mean, she's big. But she's also likable as fuck.
Yeah.
And you still want to see her succeed. It's just she has different kinds of adversity. Liv Morgan is basically punching up with virtually anyone she's in the ring with, or she's on equal footing from a size perspective.
Yeah.
And like, I know they're going to fuck it up. They're going to turn her heel at some point, and it's like, no, because unless she's got muscle, she's not a heel. Like, when she was in the Riot Squad, they could pull it off because there was 3 of them. And she was just a hired gun, essentially. Now, I don't know why you would think the Riot Squad were heels, because they were pretty well over from day one. But and that reminds me too. I think she's going by Valhalla now. Which, hey, WWE, Valhalla's a place, not a person. But like, Sarah Logan was her name before, right? Yeah, Sarah Logan. I'm happy that she's got a job now, but fuck. Like, that's like a mixed bag for me. It's like, oh, I'm glad she's back. But really? And she can be their manager. And actually, okay, so for all the nerds out there, WWE, you can say this. Her name shouldn't be Valhalla. It should be Valkyrie. Get it fucking right. Valkyrie, well, it's not a specific person, but it's a person. The Valkyries are people. Valhalla is a place, a destination. Like,
she could be Valkyrie, but she could be from Valhalla.
Yes. Actually, that would be appropriate. Because the Valkyries are the winged messenger. No, I guess they're not messenger. They're the winged spirits that carry the souls of the dead to Valhalla. That is their job, so that would make sense. From the Great Hall in Valhalla, the Viking Raiders with Valkyrie. You can be accurate and awesome.
Yeah. And as we've seen, Rhea won.
Yes, and well-deserved. Not surprising either. It's great when both of those happen. It's great when both of those happen.
It was like it was meant to be.
And that's when and I'll be honest, the same thing with Cody. Because it was like obvious that it was going to happen, but they did it in a way that wasn't contrived. It was like, yes, this checks, this jives. This makes sense. It's like anytime Brock Lesnar wins a title, it's like, I can see how that happened.
Yeah. And the biggest surprise that we missed that even started off the show, Pat McAfee.
What about him?
He was part of the commentary.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Why, did he leave or something?
No, nobody knew he was supposed to be there.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Like I said, I missed the beginning of the show.
Yeah, right at the beginning, like as soon as stuff was about to start, music hit and it was Pat McAfee. And I watched a bit where Michael Cole was on the Pat McAfee show, and it was a shoot. Michael Cole didn't know Pat McAfee was going to be there. Pat McAfee said his plane literally got here 26 minutes before the show started.
Nice.
So he jumped straight over the plane, straight to there, went through Gorilla, and went straight out.
Nice. I love it.
He said there was literally like 3 people that knew.
That's awesome. Because I like Pat McAfee. He does a handful of things that I find mildly annoying, but I get it. I like him overall, though. Speaking of which, did you see the shirt?
I did.
It came today. Oh, and hang on, I got to show you the other one I got. I wasn't sure which one to wear, but I figured since we were talking Royal Rumble, it would be appropriate.
Oh, Lord. Why could I see? Why did I see that coming?
Hey, actually, I was supposed to get the "Thank You, Fuck You, Bye" shirt, but they were out of stock, so I had to get the face one this time. But I'm so glad. This is why I was so excited when KO started doing the prize fighter gimmick again, because I loved the shirt. This is the same shirt design as when he first came to NXT. But they got rid of it, and I had it, but then I got fat, so it didn't fit no more. So I got it again, and they added to it on the back. Now it's got that "Never Stop Fighting" bit on it.
Oh yeah, we see it.
Yeah, it's a great shirt design, and I love it because honestly, unless you're right up on it, it does look like duct tape on a shirt. It's great. This is also the same shirt where somebody yelled at me across an airport and goes, "Fight, Owens, fight!" And I was like, this is why I love being a wrestling fan. Because this motherfucker, neither one of us are probably from this state, because this was at an airport in Florida. This is years ago, by the way, but like, yells at a perfect stranger from across an airport, neither one of which we are from, in all likelihood. And like, he says 3 words, and I know exactly what he's talking about. Wow. I love being a wrestling fan, man. Because you can go anywhere, certainly in the United States, but anywhere in the world, and somebody's going to recognize that.
Yep.
Probably more than you think. And like, geez, when I went to All In, it was just like Bullet Club shirts everywhere.
I couldn't imagine.
But not even at the arena, like even surrounding, like, because I went and got something to eat before I went there, and it was just like a sea of Black Skull shirts.
Wow.
It was great. It was awesome. But where were we? Oh, we were on to the main event. Speaking of Kevin Owens.
Hold on, let's get before the main event.
What's that?
Well, let's talk about this little concert, live music.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about that.
Multiple things where WWE was very, very upset with it.
I can imagine. And here's a fun fact for you. I was watching this with someone who doesn't speak English. And you know what they said? They said it sucked. They don't even fucking speak the language and they know it sucked.
Wow, it was...
This was like when Rancid performed Ruby Soho live at Double or Nothing that one time.
That was bad.
Oh, I texted you and I was like, wow, Rancid sucks.
That was god-awful.
That was awful. And for all you Rancid fans out there, I'm sorry. Maybe they're better when they're recorded, but fuck, that was terrible.
Oh my God, yes.
What? So WWE was upset?
Oh yeah, they didn't like how he performed it.
Well, no, because it sounded awful. And I'm sorry, guys. Like, I was intrigued at the very beginning. I was like, hardcore country? No, it's not a thing. It doesn't work.
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, this is going to be different.
Like, she wants to ride in my pickup truck. No, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Oh, and for a second, like, I didn't see the guy. I was like, they got Jeff?
There was a bunch of memes. They were like, they have the wrong Hardy at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought for a split second before I saw the dude. I was like, they got Jeff? Well, that explains a few things.
Wow.
Oh, and for all of you who had seen the meme circulating, somebody had said, buddies at the Royal Rumble sent me this picture, and it was a picture of CM Punk. Yeah, that picture's from 2011. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, it's a way old photograph. That's back when Punk had the mutton chops.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was like, that's not what Punk looks like right now. And I know that because I recently saw a video that was going around where he was doing MMA commentary and his co-hosts were making a joke.
Oh,
so
they were doing a thing for WWE 2K23 before we get to the main event. Not before the main event, but before we get to it. And Seth Rollins was getting interviewed. And I don't know if you've seen it. If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
That was a joke. I've seen it.
Oh, and they were talking. And he was getting interviewed, and they were like asking about like different superstars, like FTR, and he's like, "Yeah, I'd like to have them back to produce and everything." And then it comes asking about CM Punk. He's like, "He's a cancer. Stay away." He's like, "I just don't like him." And he's like, even all these people staring around looking at me. He goes, "I don't care. I do not like him."
I smell CM Punk in WWE.
I don't know.
I smell it.
If it happens, I think it's going to be a one-off.
Maybe, but I would much rather, and I can't stop talking about this because we just uploaded a short not that long ago about it. I'm still mad at AEW for what they did because, I mean, geez, guys, you had... It's not even like I would have been okay if they like couldn't come to an agreement to get him there. Like, that happens. But, like, Jesus, you had him there. And you fucked it up because you have three people that couldn't check their own egos. Now, granted, Punk can't check his ego either, but how many times have either of you three been WWE champion? Oh, no. Oh, you've never even fucking been there.
Wrong.
Oh, how many? Oh God, no, we're not talking about that. Squash matches don't count. And before you go into the fucking FCW bit with Kenny Omega, he was never even on. I think he had one match.
Yep.
It doesn't count. And still, they were never WWE champion. So, I digress. I mean, I cannot put into words how much respect I lost, and I still like, but well, I'm not gonna say I like, but like, look, I bought the book. It's a great inspirational story. It's a good thing they wrote it before that happened, because I was such a fan of them, and then. From when AEW started to that moment, I just slowly kept losing respect for all of them because I was like, so many reasons, and I want to be I want to be a fan. I do. I want to so bad, but like, fuck, you just. And Punk can't. Yeah, Punk can't swallow his ego either. But I mean, at the same time, it is CM Punk, so.
And what I think they're doing is I think they're just paying for him to sit at home. So he doesn't go anywhere else.
Well, I think they're doing that for two reasons. One, to keep him from going to anywhere else. Because could you imagine, and I can imagine Punk going to WWE just to give them the middle finger.
I could see it, but I don't know. I don't think I'd see it actually happen.
Well, here's the thing. If I were Punk and I were negotiating that deal, like, Punk's got the best position because, like, he might want to give AEW the middle finger, sure, but at the same time, he doesn't need or particularly even want to go back to WWE. So for him to go back, it would be a very, very, like, Punk-centric deal.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Fantasy booking just hit my head. Here's what you do. Cody wins the title from Roman Reigns night one. We get Raw after Mania. Cody comes out, starts talking about how he finally won a world champion. This, that, and the other. Boom, Cult of Personality hits.
Yep, and you can take that a step further because the first promo he gives, he can say, you know, Cody, one of the reasons my journey took the path that it did was because I wanted to get you in a ring. But I missed you, Cody. You left before I could get my hands on you. So here I am. You got your wish, now give me mine.
Now, do I see it happening? No.
No,
but
no.
Set up for it? Yes.
Oh, that'd be amazing. And it just makes me so mad to think about because imagine this. Imagine if Cody hadn't been driven out of his own company and they got CM Punk. Oh.
Yep.
Don't tell. It's. And all you fucking. I don't even know what to call you people because Mark is too much of a compliment because, like, I don't consider you wrestling fans because you have no respect for it at all. Because you're just like, ooh, look at all the goofy shit and the fucking twinkly toes and the do-do-do-do-do and the stupid shit and the oh, look at them skipping to and fro and doing their art. Like, fuck, guys. Like, how can you not be on CM Punk and especially Cody's side in all this and call yourself a wrestling fan?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, Cody was trying to give us, like, good old school wrestling in a new way with newer talent. Like, he wasn't super conservative about it. He would do the high spots. He would do all that, but at the core of what Cody was doing, there was always a story. There was personal conflict. There was a reason for doing what they did. And with Kenny and the Bucks, most of the time, it's just like, how can we kill ourselves and walk away for no good reason? Like, but it's carrying, and the frustrating part is now that Cody's gone, it's carrying on into the rest of the show. I.e., is Anna Jay okay?
I don't know.
And for what? Like, you can make the arguments like, oh, well, you know, Mick Foley threw himself off Hell in a Cell. Yes, and that was for the World Championship. And they still play that spot in every single WWE highlight reel from now until the end of fucking time.
Actually, I don't think it was for the world title.
Oh, it wasn't. You're right.
I don't think Taker was champion at the time.
Okay, take that back. But you understand my point.
It made sense for that to happen.
Yes.
They had a story built up for that.
Thank you. So, yeah, before you eviscerate me in the comment, oh, Undertaker wasn't champion then. It's like, okay. But again, you remember that spot. In a year, unless Anna Jay is permanently injured, who's going to remember that spot? It was for nothing. And it was on the fucking B show.
You know who's going to remember it?
Anna Jay, if her brain still works.
Botchfest.
I love Botchfest. I love those guys.
20 minutes AEW, 5 minutes WWE.
Yeah.
I remember when it was the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, shit happens when you get rid of the people that can actually book stuff.
Exactly.
But,
Okay.
and just one more thing touching on, I know it might be hard to believe, but I'm still an AEW fan, or at least I want to be. And conversely, you have people like Darby Allin, who, now granted, I think he does a little too much, but a little too much for his own good. But at least when he does it, it looks fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
He's the exception that proves the rule, though, because when Darby, like, I forget who he was wrestling, but I'll never forget that spot because, like, he threw himself at that guy, and I thought he was dead.
Oh, I remember when he did the coffin dive when he was trying to do it on the Joey Janelli, and he went through the barrel.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how often I say that about Darby Allin. It's like, I thought he was dead. It was awesome, though. But that's because when Darby does it, I mean, I don't know what he does differently, but when he throws himself at somebody, it's like it looks like he's trying to hurt them.
Yeah.
He has a special way of doing it, and he has this weird charisma that I can't explain. But whatever it is, he's got a lot of it. I would also like to point out that I was right about another thing, although it did happen, admittedly, it happened sooner than I thought it would. They are now referring to Jungle Boy as Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Yeah, I watched episode a week or two ago, and I seen where he came out as Jack Perry, and I'm like, who? Because I only knew him as Jungle Boy.
Yeah. Well, no, I had been very specific and said that JR had planted the seed, and I think as he gets older, they will slowly transition. Like they'll probably do Jungle Boy Jack Perry, like JR calls him, and then as he gets older, they'll probably drop the Jungle Boy and just go by Jack Perry. But they've already started to, and it makes sense because, like, again, the Jungle Boy has made it last longer than arguably it should have with just anybody else, that kind of gimmick. But when a wrestler has an actual name, and I think this is true of Ricochet too, it's just that he's been Ricochet for so long, most people don't notice. But, like, when you have an actual name and then you can have a nickname attached to it, having that actual name just lends itself to the credibility of what you're seeing on television.
Yeah.
And just so it doesn't look like I'm only talking shit about AEW, lest we forget WWE's The Bunny, which was a literal bunny. Well, not a literal bunny, but a guy in a suit, which was Justin Gabriel, by the way.
It wasn't just him.
Oh, there were more, yes, weren't there?
And I know one of them that was the bunny one time. I personally know one of them.
Oh, that poor bastard. At least he was wearing the mask.
Yes.
Yeah, so they had that going for him. But anyway, let's get to this main event, because it was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. From the start.
Well, I mean, all of it. Yeah.
The wow factor and everything.
I want to point out one thing, though, and it was very subtle, but I loved it. How they told a story about KO trying to hit that stunner. It was very subtle, but I loved it because when he went for the first one and he didn't get it, I was like, oh. And then I realized what they were doing. I'm like, this is great pro wrestling. Right there. Because you just think, oh, if Kevin could just get that stunner.
Yep.
I mean, he did, but
yeah, he finally. The ref started counting 1, 2, and that very, very close 3. I'm like, oh my god.
I don't know though. Does anybody have a closer 3 count kick out than Kurt Angle?
I don't know.
I mean, man, Kurt had some. Like, I mean, the ref's hand was here when he kicked out on some of those bad boys. But yeah, so that whole match was very good. And you know what? And this is part I love. Like I said, I was watching it with somebody else and not a wrestling fan, but some of the hits, they were still going like, ooh. Like, ooh. Like, that's it. That's it. And those of us that know what we're looking for, like, we can see, but like, it looks like a fucking fight.
Yep.
And those moments when you're watching wrestling with a non-wrestling fan and they're reacting to it. But I've watched wrestling with non-wrestling fans with AEW too, and I'm not going to lie, sometimes they had that reaction, but most of the time they would laugh at things. Now, WWE too, because I remember I was watching with an ex-girlfriend, I was watching an NXT TakeOver. It was where Gargano and Ciampa had the lights out match.
Okay, yeah.
And Ciampa busts out the handcuffs. She goes, "Oh, it's about to get kinky in here." And honestly, I went like this because I was just like, "God damn it!" Because I mean, she was right. It looked stupid. It did. It looked dumb, and I was like, I can't argue with her about that because she's right. It looks like they're about ready to fuck each other.
But it was a great match, great storytelling. Everything was perfect to the end.
Even the end was good.
The biggest surprise of the night was Sammy finally turning.
And I want to touch on that for 1 second because I was at first, as I was watching it, I found myself thinking, come on, this is taking too long. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, I'm not frustrated because it's taking too, like, it is taking a while, but they're milking it for every second. And because I'm not sure what's going to happen. And I realized that I was like, I don't know if he's going to cross Roman or hit Kevin. I don't know. And I'm frustrated because I want to know, and they're not giving it to me. And that's when it hit me. I was like, this is so good.
Yep. They were milking it down to the last second of him finally saying, you know what? He's my best friend.
And Sami Zayn, to his massive credit, at no point gave away, even in his face, you could see the conflict. I mean, the Oscar goes to Sami Zayn.
In my opinion, I've said it multiple times, Sami's heavily underrated.
Yes, he is. And it's ironic because the guy that looks just like him, who disappeared, well, I don't know if he looks, the guy who wrestles just like him wore a mask. But then, unfortunately, he disappeared. But now Sami Zayn doesn't have his doppelganger running around. But, I mean, just massive kudos. And Sami, you're right, Sami is criminally underrated. And I've been a Sami Zayn fan since I first saw him in NXT, and he was just as good there. I mean, he might be a little bit better now with the acting stuff in it. But I remember the first time I ever saw him wrestle, and I didn't even know who he was NXT Fatal 4-Way main event. Was him, Neville at the time, Tyson Kidd, and Tyler Breeze. And I point that match out for several reasons because I knew who Tyson Kidd was because I'd seen him prior. I did not know who any of the other guys were. Never seen him wrestle before in my life. I knew what the story was just based on the way they were wrestling. The commentators were telling me some things, but I didn't have the whole story. By the time that match was like maybe 5 minutes in, I knew exactly, like I understood that Neville wasn't necessarily a bad guy, but he wasn't necessarily a good guy, and he would not necessarily cheat to win, but he would be opportunistic and screw over a friend for the sake of winning. I knew that Sami Zayn was the white meat babyface who was the heart and soul, I knew that Tyler Breeze was this fucking guy, and I knew Tyson Kidd was the guy with the chip on his shoulder. I knew all of it in 5 minutes or less. And I knew that I was supposed to be rooting for Sami Zayn, but that Neville was probably going to win. And the way he won was perfect. It made sense in the match. And I want to stress this. I had never seen any of these guys wrestle, save for Tyson Kidd in some, like, not even mid-card matches on WWE television. And it was so good. So, yeah, Sami Zayn, kudos. Kevin Owens, kudos. Roman Reigns, everybody did such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, even down to Paul Heyman, like his expression to when Sami finally did it, and they were all like, "What the hell?" And then Sami's looking at Jay, not Jimmy.
Yep.
And he said, I had to do it. He goes, "Just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it."
Yep.
Because he knew he was going to get beat on. And then Jay couldn't stick in the ring. He couldn't do it. So Jimmy and Solo beat Sami up. And then Jay left the ring.
it was all so good, masterfully done. And like, good to quote Seth Rogen in 40-Year-Old Virgin, it's like, honestly, we just felt bad. All of us just felt bad for him. Kind of felt bad for Jimmy.
To be honest, it all started with Jimmy and Roman.
I know. And that, like, guy, Tony Khan, take notes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who's responsible for that, but they need to get a raise if they haven't already. Because it's so good. That's going back years, man. That is the good shit. That is the good shit. That's why Cody and Dustin Rhodes was so good in AEW when they brought him in, because that shit is going back a decade. And I understand it could be a scary process. He's like, will people know? Trust me. And even if they don't know what happened, because like I don't know the whole story, but Cody is such a masterful storyteller. I knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to trust the people that can deliver to deliver. And Roman, Sammy, the Usos, Kevin, Paul, all those guys, Solo, all those guys can deliver. Just let them do it. And they did. And that's what you get. So, mad kudos. Like, I can't complain. And I wouldn't, like, that main event was not too long. It wasn't too short. It ended when it made sense. They told that very subtle story, but still very good, of like, if KO can just hit that stunner and then he hits it and then he still doesn't win. But how long after that realistically did the match end? It wasn't that long after.
Maybe 5 minutes if that.
Yeah, maybe. Just enough time for Sammy to get some more screen time and subtle storytelling in. Like, it was good. It was so good. That's wrestling, man. That's good wrestling.
Good wrestling.
That's good wrestling right there. Oh, but while we're on the subject of good wrestling, I will say AEW ratings finally got above 1 million again. I believe it was not this week. I don't know what the ratings were for this last week, but the week before when they did the when Mark Briscoe was in the main event.
Oh, and I don't want to put it like this. It's obviously because of Jay Briscoe passing.
Correct. And I still maintain it's really fucking pathetic that it took somebody's death to get them on television.
Exactly.
When they should have been as soon as humanly possible. Now, it kind of opens the question, what will become of Mark Briscoe? Will we see him in AEW? I certainly hope so. Because I'll tell you, you know what that match was more than anything other than cathartic? I'm sure for both those guys. I noticed afterward they were both very emotional, and I completely understand that. But, like, it was also a great wrestling match. And funnily enough, it was Jay Lethal, who, I understand that match was a standalone thing, but if it hadn't been for that, like, they've been shitting on Jay Lethal since he got there. And yet it took the passing of Jay Briscoe to get him into a main event on Dynamite where they tore the fucking house down. And let's see, what's the craziest thing they did in that match? He did an elbow drop off the top rope onto a table. And it was a main event on Dynamite. That was the craziest thing they did. And that match was great. Honestly, you know, and this is me being selfish, I understand that was a memorial for Jay, but you know what I would love to see happen? I would love to see Mark Briscoe be brought into AEW, and I'd like to see a backstage segment where the two don't even say a word to each other. They just come up, they hug it out, and then Jay Lethal just says to Mark Briscoe, be like, hey man, I want to talk to you about something. I'll give you a call. And then the next week, they come out as a tag team.
I'm not sure how that would work, though.
What do you mean?
Only because Jay Lethal's with Jeff Jarrett then.
Yeah, just walk away from that. That's stupid as shit anyway. And here's the thing. It's real easy. all Jay Lethal has to say, and they could even feud with them, but all Jay Lethal has to say is like, look, man, like my priorities have changed. Things happened, and my priorities are different now. Because let's be real, does anybody really give a shit what Jay Lethal's doing in AEW right now?
Nope.
So just fuck it. Get rid of it. It's dumb anyway. And is it really... You'd rather have that than have Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal as a tag team in AEW? Really? Really? Like, I'm asking you fans out there, would you seriously rather have Jay Lethal hanging around with the TNA gang plus that really tall dude, or have Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal as a tag team on Dynamite in AEW? And or Ring of Honor, because who's to say they can't win the Ring of Honor tag team titles?
Well, the thing is they've yet to announce what they're going to do with the Ring of Honor tag team titles.
What's that now?
I said they haven't announced what they're going to do with the Ring of Honor tag team titles, have they?
So have Jay Lethal step in. Like, they've done it before. I'm sure Ring of Honor's done it before, but they do it in wrestling all the time. My partner can't compete. I'll step in. It's perfect. The shit books itself, man. And that's assuming Mark still wants to wrestle in the immediate. This is making the assumption that he wants to, although I saw an interview he did where he said, I am going to keep wrestling because, like, that's what my brother would have wanted. And he's like, and now I got to go out there and do it for him.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, goddamn, talk about pulling on your heartstrings. Like, shit. I'm even watching the aftermath of that match, and I'm just kind of like sitting there like, fuck. And the whole time, like, as sad as it is, but the whole time I'm thinking, like, this is such a fucking shame that it took this man's brother dying to get him on this television program. That's the shittiest part. Well, no, the shittiest part is that Jay is no longer here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's just... It fucking sucks, man. Because we'll never... As selfishly as a fan, I mean, I understand it's extremely... It's can't be worse for anybody else than his family. But, I mean, selfishly as a wrestling fan, it's like, now we're never going to get to see that.
Yeah. I couldn't agree anymore.
We're never going to get to see new AEW World Tag Team Champions, Jay and Mark, the Briscoes. You're never going to get to see it. Why? Because some uppity executive couldn't get the fuck over him or herself. Like, fuck off, people. I hope Jim Cornette gets your contact information.
I hope he does.
Because if nothing else, boy, that would be funny. Honestly, like, this is going to... I would absolutely love... He'd never do it, so I know we're never going to see it. I would love for Jim Cornette to get involved with AEW sometime. He never will.
Oh, no, I know he wouldn't.
I would love to see Jim Cornette book AEW TV. Not solely. I would like to see him and maybe one or two other people, because Jim Cornette's not perfect. He's had some screwy idea. The Leviathan comes to mind. But I think overall, I think he could kind of help steer that ship a little bit and be truly an alternative to WWE. Not just do the same shit that they're doing. I just realized the whole time I didn't have my light on, so I probably looked a little dark.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
No, not really. We had a Mountain Dew pitch black thing going.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
What?
now I'm just saying, mock. Yeah. Ing. Yeah. Bird. Yeah. 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 What? God, that's going to become a thing, isn't it?
I hope it does. I hope it does.
I'm going to get it over for myself. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, God. The people listening on the audio platforms are like, what is wrong with these two idiots? What?
Yeah.
Jesus. I think that's a good place to wrap up. Yeah.
What?
I'm sure my neighbor's thinking, what the fuck is going on over there? Just like every 10 seconds. Yeah.
What?
Your wife's probably thinking, what the fuck is going on?
Downstairs making dinner right now.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thank you once again for joining us for Down the Middle. Hope you enjoyed this episode and the Royal Rumble. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're watching us on Twitch, cool. I don't know why we're still doing Twitch because we don't really have... We've had people watching on there before, though. Yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed the Royal Rumble. As always, if you want us to discuss a particular wrestling topic, just leave it in the comments or shoot us a message on Instagram. We are on Instagram, Down the Middle Podcast, where you can see clips and shorts just like you can on the YouTube channel. And be sure to check out StevieWicks.com. Remember, promo code DOWN to save 10% off your order, or DOWN20 to get 20% off your first month subscription box. Get in there for those Valentine's Day gifts, and St. Patrick's Day candles will be available too for all you Sheamus fans out there. Get it because he's Irish, huh? And if you would prefer to listen to the podcast rather than watch it, you can check us out on I Have a List. I always forget the list, so I had to write it down. Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Anchor.fm, Audible, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify. I feel like I missed one. Did I miss one?
iHeartRadio?
No, I got iHeartRadio. No, I got them all. So all those platforms. And I'll be honest, they are literally adding podcast platforms every day. Like I found out about Pocket Cast by Podcast Addict. That's the one I forgot. Podcast Addict. Like, I didn't know it existed. And then it's like, wow, you have great Podcast Addict numbers. I'm just like, what's that? So it's like, whoo. Woo.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Woo.
Woo!
Yeah.
What?
Anyway, that'll be the end of the show. Goodbye. Good night.
Bye-bye.